So what is this living that we share together? Sushin, a Chinese Zen master, said, if you want to know what is my mind, I say it is the whole of space. If you want to know what is my body, I say it's the entire earth. Now, let's assume this guy isn't nuts. Now, one part of us wants belief. I think all of this interest in fascism all over the world now is that people prefer belief over choice. But yoga culture is not belief. It's like, what the heck is going on? So, it takes a little bit of an effort to have the confidence to live in a world you can't explain, really. And there is fundamentally never going to be any explanation. Now, it doesn't mean we don't try to explain or understand when we can, but our first instinct is acceptance. Not our first instinct is not understanding. Our first instinct is not understanding. It's amazement and gratefulness. And it's, amazement, and you feel it filling the senses. So the dynamic of not knowing is acceptance. And in Taoist and Zen Buddhism, the word I usually use the term vastness. What are we faced with? Is vastness. Well, another term translated into English from the Chinese, as I mentioned this morning, is dark enigma. Maybe we could say vast enigma. Well, that's a different kind. This can make it could make an ordinary person pretty anxious. When I was young, there wasn't much understanding of mental illness or schizophrenia, and these words were just beginning to be used, etc. And the most common phrase is, somebody had a nervous breakdown. Well, a nervous breakdown, just thinking you live in a vast enigma could give you a nervous breakdown. I mean, a nervous breakdown is I don't like my spouse, I don't want to go to work, I don't feel comfortable about anything, and I'm losing my job, and then you have a nervous breakdown because you can't make sense of anything. Well, if you live in a yogic world, you're in the middle of a continuous nervous breakdown. I can't make sense of anything. It's all, huh? So that's the one background I'm bringing up that we could make use of is vast enigma. The other one I will bring up in today's context and kind of working in the background for the next few days, 4 days, I guess, is there is no reality, there's only relationality. So if reality establishes this as a reference point, an object, and it establishes its durative presence as a reference point, and the durative presence is assumed to be, pretty, everyone knows things change and people die and so forth, but still, mostly we emphasize durative presence. So if your basic feeling is not to notice entities and not to notice the durative aspect of entities, but to notice relationality. So Shin, he said, if you want to know what the third thing he said, if you want to know what my vision is, I don't see anything. Well, I mean, what the heck is he talking about? I mean, obviously he sees something because he talks about, and he's obviously educated enough to talk about Buddhism in words. Baijiang, by the way, famous Baijiang, says, a great teacher, really, says, if we don't use words, if a Buddha or a teacher doesn't use words, there's no one will discover practice. But he says, if you use words, people will try to understand them and interpret them, and it's even more of a muddle. So he said, it's better just to show or be around and see if people notice. So seeing if people notice, but that kind of noticing requires evolved and developed attentionality, micro-attentionality, so you're in the space. Most of us don't have it because we think in conscious concept. So now we have Shin again. If you want to know what is my body, well, first it's kind of interesting that someone wants to know. It could be us. And he says, the whole earth is my body. Well, he's not thinking of the globe or some kind of imaginary. No, he's just thinking of whatever is meant exactly in Chinese by the whole earth. It's not Stuart Brand's catalog. Although Stuart Brand did get a photograph of the whole earth. If I throw a little anecdote in here, satellites went up, but they never took a picture of the earth. So he made a postcard, and something. He's a person who enacts what concerns him. He got a postcard. He had a postcard printed, thousands, and there was a hole in the middle, and it was all black. And he said, why haven't we seen a picture of the whole earth yet? And he mailed it to scientists, he mailed it to congressmen and to senators. What was the reaction of the U.S. government? Send a CIA to check up on this guy. So Shin didn't have a picture of the whole earth, but he did have an experience of everything in its all-at-onceness is inseparable from his body. So he didn't think, a body, separate entity, etc. No, it was relationality. But that relationship has to be developed. Do you want to know what my vision is? I don't see anything. Because if all you see is relationality, you don't see entities, and relationality is invisible. Relationality, there's lots of relation. It's all relationality here, but it's all invisible. It takes another kind of shift to not see entities primarily, but to feel. You can't see relationality, you can only feel relationality. So that's a really big biological, neurological shift. So I'm asking you, if we're going to talk about the body, please start noticing the difference between the vertical body and the horizontal body. clearly there's a difference. You know, dreaming, not dreaming, etc. Clearly there's a difference. So explore that difference. And then let's ask, what is the folded in body of Zazen, which is half vertical and half horizontal? And that's the big problem. You know, people think, oh, of course, you can sit in a chair as well as cross-legged. Well, yes, but that assumes the same body. It's the same body that's vertical, the same body that's horizontal, and the same body that's sitting in a chair. Of course, what kind of religious nonsense are you telling me that I can't sit in a chair? Well, you can sit in a chair, but you ought to sit with at least with your spine lifted away from the back. Because the whole context of lotus posture is to free the spine from any effort. So the spine becomes a big round cylinder. So it takes a special effort and skill to sit in a chair. Because the half folded in body, horizontal body, and the half arising from the vertical body. And then you get to know, you get to inhabit the sitting body of absorptive stillness well enough that you can begin to explore both the vertical body and the horizontal body from this Zazen posture. Okay, thank you very much.